What up, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys week number 5 in my 365 movie challenge. This is where I essentially try to watch 365 films in just 1 year's time. This is a weekly update series. I tell you guys everything that I watched. It is on a delay, however, so it doesn't spoil the films that I talk about on the podcast, which is a weekly show as well, posted every Monday or Tuesday. Check it out. If you don't know, now you know. It's an awesome show. I highly recommend it, and I'm not biased at all. So let's get into this week's films, guys. First up, we have Uncaged from, I believe, 2015 is the official release date, but I don't think you can see it until it hit DVD in 2016. This was the first 2016 film that I watched this year, and honestly, it's alright. The cover is not that good on the DVD, but it's actually an alright film. It's sort of your werewolf comedy in a way, but the comedy isn't too in your face. It's kind of subtle. It's more that the characters are funny, not necessarily what's happening to them is funny. The film, what's happening to them is pretty much serious. It's just that the characters are fun and funny. Overall, it wasn't the best werewolf film in the world, but it was definitely a little bit of a surprise. I was expecting not to really like it. So overall, I give that one a 6.5 out of 10. Not too bad. I recommend picking it up on DVD if you can find it cheap, or at Walmart. If you're one of those people that go into Walmart and grab the new releases every week, that's one you might want to pick up. After that, we have Sweatshop from 2009. This is an independent slasher film done right. I absolutely love this movie. It has these sort of industrial goth punk characters, and they feel very genuine. They feel like the real type of people that I've ran into in the world at different parties and stuff. They're kind of throwing a rave in this abandoned steel mill, and there's basically a slasher killer guy holding a giant sledgehammer made out of a rod and a anvil, and he's just tearing them up. And I found that these characters were most enjoyable in the film, even though some people might not say that about this one. I find that this film really fleshed out the characters enough. Each one of them had their own little subplot. You spend a little time with each one of them, and it's just a cool culture to kind of base a slasher movie around. And like I said, the kills are decent. The music, the soundtrack, dope as hell. I really, really like it. It's sort of that industrial style music. I don't really listen to stuff like that, but I would, because I actually really enjoyed it. Something really cool is Jesse Midnight Crawler actually told me that his girlfriend actually was the singer of, his ex-girlfriend was actually the singer of that band, and I thought that was super cool, because I really did. I've even sampled I think it's Lucid Dementia. I even sampled their songs before in a few things that I've done over the past couple years. Highly recommend Sweatshop. Indie film done correctly. Don't need a big budget. You just need passion and a little bit of skill, and it goes a long way. Joe Lynch also has a cool cameo in it right at the beginning of the film. I give Sweatshop a 7.5 out of 10. Check it out for sure. After that, we have 28 Days Later from 2002. This is a film that I remember really, really enjoying when it came out. It kind of knocked my socks off a little bit, and I always held it in such high regard. Watching it this time, I felt like it didn't pack as much of a punch as I remember, but it's still a hell of a good movie. It's one of those films that I feel like when it came out in really like kind of the perfect time, post 9/11. It was, a little depressing. It's just a doomed film. And I also noticed that it felt like the social commentary about the military being the evil and the characters being the not evil, I feel like it was a little shoved in there, like forced in there in a way. Maybe not forced, but it definitely wasn't as subtle as I remember. Maybe it's because we've seen that done so many times since. Hell, it was even done in 85 or whatever with Day of the Dead, but it didn't feel as subtle as I remember it. It felt more in your face, but that's fine. It's fine. It's an amazing movie. It really is. The score is great. The intensity is really up there, and honestly, when you really look at the film, it's kind of small, yet it feels so huge in scope. The one scene that really captures that is the early scene where they're on the streets of London or whatever. I don't know, my UK cities and towns and stuff like that, but so whatever place it was in the UK. They shut down the whole streets. It makes it feel huge. Really, really good film. I give that one a 9 out of 10. And then continuing on, we got 2 more films this time, guys. Actually, 3 more films. We have the 2016 Martyrs remake. Now, this film was not very good. Well, let me take that back. It was a good movie. It's just a poor excuse for a remake. It does nothing. It adds nothing. In fact, it takes away from the power of the original story. Now, I don't mean it takes away the power of the film, because the original film is still out there. I just mean that it's a cheap in quality version. That's kind of a wrong way to put it too, because quality wise the film's actually well done. Story wise, execution of the story is bad. You have some different sort of it's like some different character, the way that it plays out with the characters is slightly different, which I thought that was kind of interesting. But at the end of the day, it's just a dumbed down American remake, and honestly, I got a screener copy of it, and I was pretty disappointed with the film. Now, how I rate, I take my personal bias out of it, so I take the bias of the remake of seeing the original out of my rating. So with that said, I give it a 6 out of 10. Terrible remake, but not a bad movie by itself. 6 out of 10, not a bad rating. Then we move on to 2002. I'm working on a top 10 of 2002 show on the podcast, so I've been grinding through these 2002 films. We have Ho-Tep, directed by the wonderful, amazing master Don Coscarelli. And Cos is such an underrated director, but this film, honestly, to me, didn't showcase the best of his abilities. It was good. I was expecting a little bit more. It almost felt like a goddamn Sam Raimi movie with the slapstick. It felt like it was just a little too much. It's definitely a comedy than a horror film. It was fun to see Bruce Campbell interact with being Elvis. That was cool. And JFK and stuff. It's a decent horror comedy. It's just not really my cup of tea. I give that one a 6.5 out of 10. And finally, for this one, we have Queen of the Damned, also from 2002. Now, this film, I thought it started off very strong. It has this look to it, this sort of sleek look. Reminded me of like Interview with the Vampire or something as well, just based on, I think it's based on a similar book or the same author who wrote the original story to Interview with the Vampire. It starts off decent enough, and it goes into some backstory, and I found that that's where the film was most successful in its backstory narrative. And once we got to the present day stuff, it's just honestly kind of boring. There's not much to it. It's slow. The first half hour I thought was decent, and then it's just almost nosedives to where it's just an okay movie after that. I will give it points for its direction style in terms of the look and the soundtrack and the editing and stuff like that, but story-wise, just not that interesting. I give that one a 6 out of 10. So that wraps it up, guys, for week number 5. I will see you guys next time with week number 6. Peace.
Red rum